And she, too, hasn't always been lucky in love, but now June Marshall wants to make sure that women don't make the same mistakes that she did. June is sharing her experiences in her new book, The Dirty Seven. Ladies, beware who they are, what they do, how to handle them. Hint, it's not love. June, I love that title.
Thanks.
Where did it come from?
Oh, yes. Well, it came from 20 years of experience.
Yeah, we know about that, don't we?
Actually, 35 years, but I had the idea for 20 years already. And because that idea originated 20 years ago and I've lived it for 20 years, it really has stood the test of time.
How did you break it down just to 7 categories?
Well, actually, that's how it breaks out. If you really make a study of it the way I did, or also listening to most of my friends, you find that the men that don't make good mates fall into about 7 categories. Now, in the book, I make a case that there may be a few others that lie outside of this distinction, but actually, no.
Should we talk about those 7 categories? Let's spell them out for people.
All right, sure.
Scar man.
All right, scar man is the man who hasn't gotten over his ex. Either she is an angel or she's the worst witch that ever lived. But you're going to hear about it all night long.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, he will sit across the dining room table from you or from the dinner table, and all he'll talk about is her. He won't even notice that you're there. He won't ask you how your day was.
So if you get up and leave, he won't miss you.
Well, he'll just find another warm body with ears.
Next one, side man.
Okay, side man is the man that wants a little bit on the side, and he'll either tell you that he's attached or he won't. If he tells you he's attached, he'll tell you that he and his wife or girlfriend live separate lives, or she doesn't understand him, which is pre-1970, or else he won't tell you he's attached, and you find out one day. He tells you he doesn't tell you this because he doesn't want to lose you.
Oh, God.
And in fact, he will lose you.
They think we're really that gullible, don't
Right,
they? Yeah.
right. But there are some ways that you can tell side man because he never gives you his home phone. He's always unavailable on holidays and weekends, things like this. You never see where he lives.
So remember that.
Right.
Crazy man.
Crazy man is a man that a whole team of psychiatrists would not be able to figure out. He has so many quirks and little glitches and things like that that they actually will drive you crazy if you have to live with them after a while.
And you're crazy if you keep putting up with it.
Yes.
Guy man.
Guy man is the man who pretends to be straight, but actually he's interested in other men. However, he wants to have a family or he has other ulterior motives, so he passes himself off as straight.
Oh, yeah, so beware.
Yes.
Yappies.
Yappies.
I like that.
Yes, that's an acronym for young and poor, and I don't mean necessarily poor in money, I mean poor in spirit. In other words, they have no goals, no plans, no dreams, no ambitions except to live off of the woman. And you find that he's young, he's handsome, he's very virile and fun in certain areas.
Okay.
However, you end up paying for it, you end up driving him around. If he does have a job, usually he can't keep a job. And so that's a very,
this goes
very
beyond
abundant.
being a little gigolo.
Oh, yes. Well, this is a very abundant category. It's the most abundant that's out there. They're a lot of fun, but that's about it.
Yeah, you pay for that fun, too.
Yes.
Now, I like this O-L-M-A-N, old man.
Oh, that's old loser man. And that's the yappy who's grown older.
Oh, no.
Yes, but he hasn't grown wiser.
Oh, okay.
Yes, except that now instead of just being virile and young and fun and full of life, he's also controlling, wants to isolate you from family and friends often, and you're still supporting him.
Okay, the little boy who wouldn't grow up.
Yes.
Bagman is your last one.
Bagman is the man who has a lot of baggage, but I'm not just talking about emotional. I'm talking about actual physical baggage. He has children from several different marriages, alimony payments to 2 or 3 different wives, maybe a mother that lives with him, couple of sick pets, and you're the one that ends up taking care of them all as he goes out to earn the living to take care of it.
You know, we talk about these categories, but in a sense, they could be applicable to women, too, and we do want to point out. Now, what's that point we want to make, June?
Yes, we want to make this point that this is not male bashing, because I'm coming out with a book called The 37 Sisters, which addresses women. Women are no angels, and they're no saints either. There are behavioral problems with women that make them very bad mate material as well.
We're going to get into that business of talking about your mate material. First, I want to ask something. You know John Gray has the book out, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Sure.
How would you say your book is different?
Well, I would say my book is different from every relationship book that's out there because I'm not about understanding these men. I'm saying kick them to the curb right away. They are not good relationship material. They never will be. They're not interested in getting better, and that's one of the problems.
And don't think you can change them.
That's right.
So many women, including myself, make that mistake, and you can't do that.
Right. These men are not capable of being changed because they get too much of a payoff for being the way they are. They don't want to change. They're looking for you to kind of just take care of them. One of the flaws of each one of these men shares one particular flaw, and that's called meism. Their agenda is themselves first, the relationship and you second or third or last. So it's always about them. Therefore, it's never going to be a good relationship.
And in this day and age, a lot of women have to remember, you've got to take care of you first. So let's talk about, okay, even though we've got these 7 categories, there are good men out there.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have to believe that there's just one perfect man for you or one soulmate for you, as so many people do?
No, actually, I don't believe in this. I believe that, first of all, you have to be a soulmate that's worthy of having a soulmate. That's to begin with. All right, that's number one. Number two, this is about behavior. It's not about all these beautiful feelings inside. That's very nice. A man can fill your room up with roses and tell you all kinds of beautiful things, but it's how he behaves over time that I'm interested in.
You're not going to believe this. We have a phone call already, June.
All right.
Dan, talk to us, honey. Where are you from?
Hi, Della. Hi, June. I'm from Washington, New Jersey.
Now, what would you like to tell us?
I'd like to say that I enjoyed the book. It's very interesting and educational. And I'd like to give a shout-out to the guys out there, from a guy to the guys out there. If you're having trouble getting a second date, buy the Dirty Seven and read it twice and get a clue.
Wow.
Really? And you really think it helps them?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I have more men that respond to this than women.
Really?
Yes.
They don't mind really reading about themselves from a woman's perspective.
Right. Well, some of them initially think I'm bashing them, but then afterwards they say, hey, wait a minute, men are worse than this. You left a lot out. But this is not about the filthy 7. This is the dirty 7.
And why is that important to know that?
Okay,
Make that
well,
distinction.
women let even the filthy 7 into their lives. Filthy 7 are the child molesters, rapists, violent wife batterers, and people who have really bad addictions, heavy alcohol, heavy drug use. Women allow them into their lives every day of the week. We know this is true. I don't even want to deal with this. This is a much finer point. We're dealing with a subtler thing here, but nevertheless, these men are not going to get better. No matter how much love you bring to them, no matter how much you pray over them, it's like taking a rotten apple home from the grocery store.
We have Eric on the telephone now. Eric,
right.
I do know, Eric, you're not a rotten apple, are you?
I would hope not.
Okay. What did you want to tell us, Eric?
Question for June. Well, actually, it's 2 parts. Have you ever been married? And number 2, do you believe that marriage is only for having a family and children, and can you have a relationship without marriage?
All right, good. Yes, actually, I have been married. I've been married 3 times, and that qualifies me a lot for discussing some of the situations that are in this book. And the second question, is marriage just for having children? Not necessarily. I think a marriage is a public declaration of commitment to each other. And I think that a lot of people haven't researched enough into their partners to make a good marriage. That's the problem. That's why 50% of our marriages end in divorce after 2 years, because we're attracted to someone, our hormones are flowing, our biological clocks are ticking, we're afraid that we're going to be alone on Saturday night, we won't have a date on New Year's Eve, all kinds of things are happening. So this guy's cute, you're in a bar, you meet him, the next thing you know, you get emotionally involved, and you haven't really checked out how he behaves. So I am for marriage, and what this whole book is about is sorting through. It's a handbook to keep people from making mistakes that I made.
And we're going to talk more about that, avoiding making those mistakes, when we come back with June, right here on Jersey Talking. Stay with us.
The dirty 7, beware. Ladies, beware. The dirty 7, ladies, beware. Is he a side man around with some pretty wild guys? But listen here, honey, you take the prize if you're crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy man. No one can understand you. You're crazy if you think I can.
Bring it, June. Go, girl. Yeah. Woman of many talents over here. Now, I want you all to know that June Marshall has written a book called The Dirty 7. Seven. Well, that's one that's coming out. Ladies beware, but she's also written the book about the Dirty Seven for men, okay? Who they are, what they are, beware, how to handle them. Hint, it's not love. Let's talk about the fact, you know, a lot of us are not even taught about relationships. It's not the kind of thing you sit down and talk to your parents about. We're taught about anatomy. We talk maybe to our parents about the birds and bees. I know my kids have probably heard more than they want to because mom's a little bit candid and frank. So is that a big mistake?
Yes, it's a terrible mistake. Nobody teaches about relationships. We don't learn about them in school. The clergy minces around them. We're talking about behavior patterns here. The clergy will not really address certain behavior patterns that I discuss in the book. We don't hear about it in movies. Movies idealize relationships, or else they show the underbelly, but we don't ever really see it. Popular music doesn't talk about it. It's all about love and romance and
love in the afternoon. It sounds so glamorous, of course.
And beautiful bodies and beautiful faces and all this, you know, roses and limos and all of this kind of thing. And nobody talks about happily ever after, or rather unhappily ever after, which is what happens when you find out how these people behave.
Now, do you think the media has a lot to do with that? Because right now with all these young girls, these young singers coming out, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Destiny's Child, you know, I love a lot of these groups, don't get me wrong here. But with the outfits we're wearing, do you think that promotes the idea that this is what a woman has to look like to be attractive to a man and make him love her and all that?
Oh, sure. Sure, and vice versa with guys, too. It's all about biceps and six-packs and looking
well, Jim,
good.
I hate to tell you this, honey, but I do like to be turned on by that stuff. I'm sorry. I'm a woman and I will admit it.
So am I, you know, and it's like...
But that doesn't define who he is.
No. And so then we have to go beyond that, you see. And how does he behave? Because I'll tell you something. If you find out that this guy behaves like, say, Crazy Man, and he has little quirks that are continually bugging you, it's not going to matter how good looking he is after a while.
You know, when you get in a relationship, you know, it's one thing when you have your place and he has his place, you have your place, and you don't live together. But when you live together, you'll start seeing little things that drive each other crazy. But that isn't that where compromise and friendship comes into play?
Sure, it is. And this is, when I'm talking about the Dirty Seven, this is beyond friendship. This is where even friendship can't tolerate it. It becomes so hideously interruptive of your life. But I agree about friendship. One of the things that I point out is that friendship is really a great basis for a relationship, because you really have to like each other first. You really have to like each other.
We know we explode with a passion at first. I mean, that's important, too, to get it off the ground.
Sure.
But when the passion dies out or dies down a little bit, you've got to get to know the person, right?
Right. And if you can't stand that person because he has real behavior problems, like he's lying around on the couch all morning long, not getting up, not going to work, and you're the one that's supporting him, then all of a sudden it's just, his looks start paling to you. They start going into the background as other things start making your life into a big drudgery.
And that's when you know it's time to get out. Some people set their standards. I know you've got to have standards because you don't want to marry just anybody, and you don't want to settle, on the other hand. So what do you do?
Well, I think that you have to watch a person's behavior over time. This is where it's crucial because nobody talks about this. It's about having the patience to actually see how a person behaves over time. Too many times people are putting more planning and thought into their wedding than they are into actually thought into what is the character of this person and how does he behave.
How do you get to know somebody? Because I read a line once in a newspaper article that said, you know, courting makes the courtier, marriage makes the husband. And it said a whole lot to me.
It sure does, because that is over time, you see. Even a person can fool you even over 6 months with their nice behavior. Once they feel they've bagged you, then all of a sudden they don't have to try as hard.
Yeah, because the conquest is over,
The conquest is over. You're the trophy up on the shelf next. So it's really, that's when you see how they behave.
We have another phone call, and I want to go ahead and bring that in. I don't mean to cut you off there, Jim. Benari, am I saying your name right?
It's Anari, actually.
How do you spell that?
I-N-A-R-I.
That's very pretty.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling us. Now go ahead and express yourself.
Okay. I just basically started a new relationship, and it's with an older gentleman, and we have a lot of fun together. It's a wonderful relationship. I don't know where to go. Nothing's wrong at this point, but I just want to keep it that way. I guess I'm asking for advice.
Okay. What kind of feelings do you all have for each other? First of all, I want to know at this point.
Well, I would say a general friendship. probably more based on sex.
Really? You can't argue if it's good. Go ahead.
And I'm not. Nor am I complaining. I think he's just a little standoffish, and I realize that's a good thing in some ways because it's a very new relationship, and I think I'm more of the go get him, and he is allowing me to do that, but I don't want to mess this up. Am I making any sense?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Do you all talk openly and candidly to each other?
Yes, we do.
Have you expressed these feelings to him?
Yes, I have.
Has he said anything to you?
Slow down.
Oh, he said slow down.
Yes.
Does he feel like you are trying to push him into some kind of a commitment or a more serious relationship than he's ready for?
I don't think so, because he's the type of man that will just come out and tell you that. This is not what I'm ready for. I can't do this right now, and he hasn't, in so many words, said that. And I don't want to say in so many words, but he hasn't come out and said that.
But it sounds like he wants to continue with what you have.
Yes, and I have no qualms about that. Like I said, I just don't want to see a fast, intense love affair, and then it fizzles out and burns to nothing. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's what I'm trying to avoid, if I'm making any sense.
Well, every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we don't like to keep a story always in the beginning, and that's the same thing with the relationship. It becomes unfulfilling after a while if all we have is the beginning, because it's just not the natural course of events. That's why you're feeling dissatisfied right now, and why you would like to feel a little bit more of the commitment from him maybe than what he's showing. On one level, you're happy because you have the sexual companionship and other kinds of companionship, and obviously you like the man very much, otherwise you wouldn't want to continue it. But you're looking at least from some equal input from him, at least the same strength of emotion. And that can be very frustrating when that doesn't happen.
Does that help? Henry? She's okay, she left with it.
Okay.
Hopefully she got some good advice from that.
Right.
You know what? A lot of us, I find, unless the producer wants me to take a break, is that what we're waiting for here? I'm going to throw in one more thing. A lot of us, can't help, especially if you have role models of your parents. Are we looking for our mom and dad in the men and women we go after?
Yes, often that happens because after all, we're young. In our formative years, we see our mother. Let's say she has a yappy as a boyfriend and has always had one who's around the house, never works, she's supporting him. Well, when you grow up, you think that's what marriage is. Mm-hmm. Even though maybe intellectually you realize it's not, this is what your inclination will be. This is at least what my observations have been with all of my friends and other people too who have written on the subject. So we are looking for, and unfortunately we have to make some mental adjustments to be able to go beyond, to break away from those models.
And you'll tell us how to do that when we come back?
Yes.
Stay with us. More of June Marshall next.
Out with you, baby. You show up 2-3 hours late. You got yourself a good excuse, honey. Your car's impounded, that's your fate. Oh, loser man, stay away from my door. Oh, loser man, stay away from my door. I ain't gonna read your mail ticket no more.
June, I love that. I'm not going to be your mail ticket anymore. I want you to know that is a CD that is sung by my guest here tonight, June Marshall. She's also the author of the book, The Dirty Seven. Ladies, beware. Who are they? What do they do? How to handle them? Hint, it's not love. She also has another book she's been working on, The Dirty Seven Sisters, Men Beware. She also has one more book, The Second Marshall Plan. That's the third book, Making the World Safe for Love and Happiness, also coming out. So, she's a very busy lady. We have a lady on the phone right now who wants to talk to you, too.
Okay.
Delisa, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead, dear. What would you
Hi,
like to
how
tell us?
Hi, I was just looking at your show, and something clicked in my mind. I was involved in a relationship, and the guy I was seeing, he was very controlling.
Oh, don't you hate that?
He did a lot of things for me, nice things, but he never really got to know me.
Mm-hmm.
So he thought by him doing these fantastic things, it was love. And I said, you don't even know me. So by him doing these things, he says, well, that's showing love. No, it's not. I mean, you have to get to know the person inner being to you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
We do.
I hope you understand.
No, I do.
Been there, done that, honey, yes.
Sure. Yes, we all have. You see, he has the qualities of the Dirty Seven. In other words, it's about him. Those gifts are all about him. It's not about you. You're his little doll. He's giving you gifts, and now you're supposed to be grateful, and then because of that, he can control your behavior.
So you're just a token to him.
Yes,
Why?
that's all.
Why does he feel that's necessary? Is he insecure and has to have that?
Yes, he's insecure, and it's all him, him, him. He doesn't have these. The Dirty Seven are emotionally crippled. They don't have it where they're going to sit there and ask you about you. For example, if he cared about you really, he would see what you like and then get it for you.
Yeah.
And then listen to you about your day.
Yeah.
That's what he would.
I mean, I have no problem if there was a certain thing you wanted to give me because that's what you felt good about. But don't expect me to like it necessarily if it's something I'm not really interested in. I know they said don't look a gift horse in the mouth and be grateful and all that good stuff. But like you said, if you cared enough to get to know her, you find out what she wants.
What she wants. And then don't expect all this gratitude for things that she never wanted to begin with.
So what should Delisa do?
In her case, it sounds like Delisa already has a good idea of her own identity, and she's strong enough to just let him move on. Down the line, there are plenty of other men out there. I'm saying there are a lot of good men out there. It just takes the patience to find them. Patience and just waiting to see how they behave. Now, obviously, this man is behaving in a way that she doesn't like, so she should just move on down the line. There's no point in just keeping him around.
Oh, but June, I've heard from so many young ladies who are 20-something. Oh, I really love him.
I know.
I don't want to let go of him.
Oh,
there
yeah.
might not be anybody else coming. I mean, I know better having lived as long as I have. But how do you convince them, honey, he's not the end of the world?
That's it. Well, that's hard to convince because, you see, one of the reasons women let the Dirty Seven in their lives to begin with is because they have this within them that's like, oh, God, I'm such a mess. Anybody who looks at me, I'm going to grab onto and keep, no matter how horrible they are.
But bottom line is, though, you have to make you happy.
Yes.
Before you get involved in a relationship, first of all. So you can bring something to the table. You can't expect that man to be your Prince Charming who's going to solve all your problems.
Nope, absolutely not. And that comes into where my second book, The Seven Dirty Sisters, I have Needy Nellie. She's the woman who has absolutely no inner life. She's waiting for the man to come to rescue her. She grabs onto the man, goes to all the activities with him, even ball games and sports and things that she's not interested in. He's the center of her life. On the second date, she already is bringing her U-Haul truck up with all of her clothes ready to move in. You know, and calls him every 15 minutes, do you really love me? Do you really love me? I mean, how much do you really love me? I mean, there are women, as I'm saying, that are just as vacant and just as messed up as men. It's just slightly different qualities because men are looking for different things than women are.
A lot of men do want an independent woman. They may not admit it. They don't really want that clingy female all the time because I've told a lot of these ladies, believe it or not, back off. Leave him alone. Act like you were not interested and he will come calling.
He will.
And 9 times out of 10 they do. Why is that?
Exactly. Well, it's really basic hunting primitive instincts that it wasn't that long ago that we were all living in those caves, and basically men were the hunters and the women were the gatherers who hung around the cave and just did the domestic work. The men were out there hunting, and the whole instinct to hunt is there within our species. So if you're throwing yourself at the man every second, he's not going to have that chance to exercise his hunting instinct.
Exactly. And if it's not working, drop it.
Drop it because it's not going to work. You can't force anything in love. You just cannot force it. You can lecture to a person why they should love you. You can tell them how many things you've done for them. You can just put everyone else down. You can do 1,000 things. Throw yourself in front of their car and try to commit suicide. They are not going to love you. You cannot force them to love you, and that's it.
Now, even though you've been married 3 times, that doesn't make you a failure at love,
No, absolutely not. In fact, the marriages were long marriages. They were not short marriages, and they were good marriages up to a point, but then after a while they fell apart because of certain changes and behavioral problems that were going on.
So you were willing to admit you made a mistake and move on.
Yes,
you're none the worse for that.
That's right. Absolutely none the worse. And other people who have taken these men off my hands, so to speak.
That's right. Let it be somebody else's problem, honey, okay? I'm finished. We're having too much fun out here, June. As you can tell, we are happy ladies who are content with ourselves. June Marshall, thank you very much for coming on Jersey Stalking, honey. Have a happy Valentine's Day. Jersey Stalking continues in just a moment. Stay with us.